I came up with a new training program that's so effective at building finger strength, it may be the greatest training program ever created. I was tired of having these tiny little spaghetti fingers. I want those big fat banana fingers. I want those Alex Honnold fingers, those gorilla fingers, the fingers that you accidentally get stuck in the cake mixer when you're baking a cake and it breaks the cake mixer. So I came up with an idea. What if I did a climbing session using only one pair of fingers the entire time? 4 days, 4 climbing sessions, 4 fingers. And we filmed the whole thing live here at Yosemite Valley with my friend, Alex Honnold.
I don't want to.
The first thing I had to do was weigh-ins. Starting with the pinky, I was able to get 35 pounds, which is a lot more than I thought I'd be able to get, but 40 pounds was just a bit too heavy. The index and the ring finger were both the same at 50 pounds. Neither of them could do 55 pounds, but they could both barely do 50. They were pretty much exactly the same. And lastly was the middle finger, the strongest finger, which was able to do 60 pounds. Now it was time to start my official training program.
I'd say you better be freaking training, you know? I hope you're really fit.
So index finger day, you know, it started off a bit rough. I thought that this would be a lot easier. It became evident very early how much I'd overestimated myself when I tried this V0 on the overhang. So we had to make some readjustments. The first thing was I had to lower my standards quite a bit. Secondly, I realized it was really hard to not cheat when you were climbing like this because you just naturally try to open your hands. So I had to come up with a method to make sure that I couldn't cheat and that you guys would know that I didn't cheat. The taping of my fingers definitely caught the attention of some people in the gym, and I could tell it was because they realized I was onto something. And you know, I look at my index finger kind of like, you know, my bitch. You know, she's not wife material, you know, but she's still hot, you know, she's smoking, and the good thing is you can throw her around a little bit. So I knew if I was gonna take any chances and really try to get a V3, V4, this was gonna be the finger to do it with.
He literally taped his fingers, so he just uses the pointer.
All right.
Apparently it's a thing. Like,
I'm not looking forward to hearing that loud pop.
So I almost got the whole 3-4. It was just the starting move I couldn't do. And you know, I was getting some real good vibes from Mr. Tendon Snap over there. And it made me realize, you know, some people, they're gonna see a genius in action with a genius idea, and they just gotta bring you down. So day 2 is middle finger day. And the same way that my index finger is my bitch, my middle finger, that's my wife. She's stronger, she's prettier, she's better in every way. The only difference is she's delicate. You can't throw your wife around, you know, you gotta treat your wife with respect. Your bitch, you do whatever you want with. Now the best thing about the middle finger day was this was by far my strongest day. I was able to climb probably the hardest. The only downside was I didn't have the same courage that I did with my index finger. How many finger injuries do you hear about that are either an index finger or a pinky? None. It's always these two. We know the 2 fingers everyone's thinking of. So I felt like I'd already missed my chance to really send a V3, V4. But then I remembered about one other thing, called the slab wall. After sending my first V3, V4, I decided it would also be a good idea to try out some overhang. Now with my index fingers, overhang was basically just completely impossible. I also found that the key to sending harder boulders was to find pocket boulders. These are already set with the idea in mind that you're gonna be using limited fingers, so they're a little bit easier already. So overhang was definitely possible now with my middle fingers. Now, it wasn't great, but better than my bitch. So day 3 comes along and it's finally time to climb with my ring finger. And you're probably wondering, who's my ring finger in this mix? Well, my ring finger, that's my girl. You know, your girl, she's not as hot as your wife, but she's definitely hotter than your bitch. But you can't throw her around like your bitch. So she's still sensitive like your wife is. As a matter of fact, her and your wife, you know, they have a lot in common. They're both sensitive, but they're both strong, empowered women. And you know, they're basically best friends. Well, they would be best friends if they knew each other. This day was pretty run-in-the-mill, about the same as the index finger day. I just had to be a little bit more careful because, as a lot of you probably know, most finger injuries happen on this finger. This is the one, you know, this is the real, she's the gentle one. But I did manage to send a pretty difficult V2 on the vert wall that, you know, was definitely a little sketch, but thankfully, my tendon didn't snap, so it's all good. Now this girl, she's the most misunderstood of all. She's the one in the library with her hair up, her glasses on. Everyone thinks she's the ugly nerd. No one gives her the time of the day. I walk up to her the hallway in school. I slap her books out of her hands. She's a loser, she's a nobody, she's invisible to the world. But she takes off her glasses. She lets her hair down. She's actually beautiful. This is the pinky.
Remember, when in doubt, pinky out.
Boy, oh boy, was I surprised with my pinkies. So my initial goal for Pinky Day was to send a boulder. That was it. I was like, if I can send a boulder using just my pinkies, that's it. You know, I'm done. That's all I need. But it turned out that my pinkies were much stronger than I thought. I got out there, I was sending V0s. I did a little bit of overhang. Granted, you know, by a little overhang, I mean, I moved on the overhang wall, but it was progress. And I even did a V1, V2. Needless to say, my pinkies were a lot stronger than I thought. The only real downside, the only thing that really holds them back is how short they are. It's really hard to like grab holds unless they're actually pockets. Actual jugs and stuff, you can't even really get your finger over the lip of it, so you end up hanging by like that much. So when your fingers are taped down, it gets all wet and nasty in there, and it just feels gross, and it leaks out all over your hand like sewage, and then your pinky, you just can't get it dry. I tried everything. I tried blowing in it. I tried chalking up inside the little pouch that my fingers were taped up in, and you know, that didn't work either. So I just kind of had to go with it. But the main thing I really enjoyed about climbing with my pinkies was projecting boulders again. It was actually really fun to sit and project like V1s and V2s and actually try to figure out if there was a way you could send it. But eventually I finished projecting, took my tape off, went home, got a good night's sleep, and then it was time to find out if my training program really worked.
Yes, for sure.
Starting with my index finger, I went back to 50 pounds, which was my previous max, just to see how it felt. For being my previous max, 50 pounds actually felt pretty easy, so I decided to move up. I tried 55 pounds and 60 pounds.
Let's go!
10-pound increase on one finger. You heard him right, folks. 60 pounds, that's a 10-pound increase in my PR from my new strength training program. Moving on to my middle finger, this is where things get a little bit weird. Since I had a 10-pound increase with my index, I immediately started at 65 pounds with my middle finger. And it was like beyond easy. I was very confused by this, and I thought maybe it was just an anomaly or I was just feeling really strong. So I just went up a little bit to 70 pounds just to be safe. Oh man. Holy cow. I can go up again for sure. And you know what? I did. 75 pounds, 80 pounds, 85 pounds, 90 pounds, 95 pounds. Oh my God, we're there. That clusterfuck of kettlebells that you see right there is 100 pounds.
After a certain point. Oh, look at that. Oh, you almost.
I don't know exactly what happened here. I don't know if I mismeasured on the first day or if my training program was really that effective, but this was a 40-pound increase in weight. And if you think that I just didn't measure correctly the first time, here's a clip of my first weigh-in initially at 70 pounds. I'm not exactly sure what happened here, but it set my expectations pretty well for what happened next, which was my ring finger. If you remember from before, my max was 50 pounds on my ring finger. So I started at 55 this time, and it was beyond easy. 60, 65, 70, 75 pounds.
75 pounds. You said 74?
75.
I was like 74. I was like, what are you talking about?
I said Cockney.
There we go.
Oh, that was close to my limit. So my friend can't identify a flawless British accent, but he could identify that I could go up at least one more time. So I decided to get the biggest kettlebell they had in the gym and try for 80 pounds.
Come on, you got it. You're there.
Whew. All right.
Done.
That was hard. I don't know what was going on here, if maybe I had some extra Sen juice or something like that, but I was destroying my records. This was a 30-pound increase on my ring finger, which meant there was only one finger remaining, the pinky. I'm just gonna cut right to it. I ended up getting 55 pounds with my pinky, and I was definitely kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Now, this video may come across as a bit sarcastic, but this is actually real. This actually did happen in the exact way I'm laying it out. But for further elaboration on my scientific study, I will do this program again and share the results with you again to see if, if I went from 60 pounds to 100 pounds on my middle finger. That means if I do it again, I might be close to 200 pounds. So stay tuned on the channel. Make sure you subscribe so you see what happens when I do this training program again. And the last thing is definitely do not try this at home. It's a very stupid idea. You probably will get hurt. All right, this is the last one. 105.
Come on.
Nope. Yep, that's definitely the limit. Woo! All right.
Yeah, 100 was tough. I think maybe 105 I could get. I don't think I can get 110. And if I